Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
The following program is a paid advertisement and does not necessarily represent the views, opinions, or endorsements of Signal Hill Media Partners, its affiliate stations, or its advertisers.
Say what you want.
Welcome to We're Just Sayin' with Senator Vickie Sawyer and co-host David Coble. Join them each week as they provide the latest updates on legislation affecting North Carolina, from breaking down key bills to answering your live call-in questions. Senator Sawyer and David engage in meaningful conversations on the issues that matter most to our state. No matter your political affiliation, We're Just Sayin' keeps you informed and involved in the efforts to make North Carolina a better place for everyone. Welcome to the conversation.
Good morning, everyone. You're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vickie Sawyer and David, live from Statesville this week. No pre-recording for anyone. We're live. You can call in 704-873-9929 if you want to be part of the live show. Senator Sawyer, good morning. How are you?
Hey, I love the enthusiasm, and I know where that came from.
Where?
So if you are sitting in the WAME World Headquarters studios this morning about 20 minutes ago, I'm sitting there eating a snack wrap because, I'm hungry and doing a little bit of show prep. And I look up and I see my beloved David and a WAME associate going about 10 minutes long between dusty roads and all the wrestling. I heard about Asheville. I heard about the Armory. I heard about a son who plays that he had. I mean,
Nelson Royal. We talked a little bit about Nelson Royal.
All I know is that you have another fan out there. I think, David, you're eventually going to take over the phone because you guys bonded over the Hall of Fame wrestling. He immediately said that. You could see in the way he was looking at you, he was so excited to say.
The groundswell is growing.
Yes.
There is a large vocal majority out there who want to see the North Carolina Wrestling Hall of Fame happen.
You got the pleasure of speaking to Lee Sosselman.
Yes, exactly.
So I did actually sneaky side took a picture of you two talking. And I'm going to put it up on the WAME Facebook page for our show.
Well, apply the skinny filter because you probably got me from the side. So I
may have gotten you from the side. So I will do the skinny filter. I'll do it during the break. So those of you can see two men with a love of wrestling, bonding, and not show prepping.
Well, see, here's the deal. I'm always prepped. I'm prepped. You drop me in the middle of a radio show, I'm always there.
That's right.
It's always game time for me, Senator Sawyer. And I have to carry you a lot. And it's tough. My back hurts a lot of times, but you mock all you want, but that is a genuine love of professional. That was a bonding moment.
It was.
I now have a friend for life.
You do.
In Lee. I mean, it's going to be the North Carolina Wrestling Hall of Fame happening. And honestly, I think you're going to see it more at your events. Your constituents want this.
Okay.
And there's going to be people holding signs, and there's going to be people, not like the people who protested you last week, but like we're not going to be protesting you. We're going to be telling you, make this happen, Senator Sawyer. Use that influence.
Well, so last week I was a little bit on my heels, because I was nervous that I was going to a local event, and I had heard that there were going to be protesters. So first of all, I want to thank you for your smooth transition there.
See, like I said, I'm always
You're
on.
always
it's
on
always
fire.
Game time.
You always are on fire. And so I left here and I went down to speak to a lovely group in the town of Davidson it's an apolitical organization. So I talked all about transportation. But I was kind of nervous. I was like, what are the protesters going to look like? Whatever. And how many are there? And so I pull up, and they actually weren't at the door. Thank God. They had been told to stay away. So all I had to do was drive by them. Now, we've talked about this on this radio show many times. My love of Elon Musk and my adoration towards my Tesla, which I got to get into again because I did something to it today. So the front of me was like a work van, and then in front of that was like a red truck. And here I am in my Tesla. So the protesters are like throwing their signs at these two work vans and red truck, thinking that they were probably Republicans. And here I slide by my little red Tesla, and I didn't even know it was me.
That is awesome.
I looked up in the background, and I saw somebody turn around because we have those legislative license plates.
Oh wait, there she is.
Yes. I was
Wait,
like,
that's not her. He's over there.
I was laughing so hard I couldn't even read their signs. That was my one thing that I regret, that I couldn't read their signs.
So you don't have no idea what they were protesting you for?
None.
That
None.
is so anticlimactic for me.
I know. But they did have one who had probably told a member of the group who probably had told them to come and protest me. So she had to hit me with some questions, at the very end. But of course, I handled it like a charm.
What were
and shut
the
her down.
questions?
I don't, it's just normal stuff. DEI, like, good God, like, come on. Let's get past. It's like so Biden area.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like,
Like, dude, come
it's like,
on.
come on, that's so 2 years ago.
So 2
Move on.
years ago. Let's just move on. So, anyways, yeah. So we were fine. We had a great meeting. I enjoyed the time. The protesters were gone by the time I had left.
Well, obviously they had done their jobs. They had probably been paid, and had to probably go on to get their lattes and tea times and
This
everything
is the
like
town
that.
of Davidson. So I will say there is the protesters there were very let's just say they wore those tortoiseshell circular glasses that most professors wear. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, other than a mask, that is the true sign of a liberal.
Yes.
Like, I think
Yeah.
they just give them out those glasses.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking
The
about?
glasses. Yes, I
the
know
round
exactly.
ones
The
that are-
round. Yes.
yes,
I know exactly
Yeah,
what you're
so
talking
there
about.
was a lot of tortoiseshell glasses wearing people there. So
Okay.
in an older crowd.
Older crowd. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So I felt good about my chances.
I swear.
But
I'm just so disappointed that you didn't read any of the signs. I mean, but your stealthiness. I mean, you put the Tesla on stealth mode.
yeah.
Cruise right by. I just think it's so funny because that they thought the work trucks
Yes.
were you.
Yes.
It's like it shows for all their tolerance and for all their not stereotyping people. Clearly, they had a line of thought as to who makes up a Republican senator. Clearly, they thought that. But I could just picture the short haired old ladies there who were
Yes.
there and who came down from who went to some Ivy League school or something, realizing, wait, there she is. Like,
Yes.
no, yes, no.
That's what it was. One of them put their sign down, in disgust, because they knew that they had missed me.
They wanted to block your car. They wanted to be able to block your car. Probably one of them wanted you to hit them. They got a lawsuit.
You know what?
They had a plan, Vickie. They had an entire plan for how this protest was going to unfold. It was going to go viral.
Mhm.
They were going to make an example of you.
Mhm.
Joe Scarborough and Rachel Maddow were going to talk about them. They had a plan, and you ruined it.
If they would have blocked my car, you know what they'd have seen?
What?
Daggone it. I rimmed my tire again. Sorry. We're going to have to remove that from.
We'll get that in editing. Oh, my Lord.
I meant
When
to
we
say-
first got here, Billy made it clear there was no 7-second delay. Wow. Okay. Dear FCC, we greatly apologize. I'm done. I can't.
That's how angry I am.
Obviously.
I was going through the drive-through today at the Starbucks
It's Starbucks.
to get my green tea
Oh, dear
hot. And it was the first of my 2 accidents of the day. This one being the last one.
I just want you all not listening to a word you're saying.
Okay.
Okay,
Trying to pull it together.
recovered. All right, pull it together.
Pull it together.
Okay, you were Starbucks green tea.
Yes, I'd ordered from the lovely lady. I asked for my green tea, hot, big. I go to get my money out of the out of my
I can't
wallet.
Look at you.
I know. And I rubbed the curb through the drive-through, jumped out in front of me, and scratched both of my rims
You curbed your car again.
again.
How long ago did you get it fixed from the last
Oh,
time?
not even 4 months ago.
Good Lord.
And this was the second time. What is it about curbs? Do they look, I do transportation, a little bit of policy. I think we should make soft-sided curbs.
I agree. That's clearly, or better rims that don't scar up.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
lord! How can you just got it fixed?
I know. I literally
And
that's
you
why
curved it
hurts.
again. Well, as
Well,
we've
that's
talked
why it
about before,
hurts.
I when you drive, there you have other things, more important things on your mind, and so I get it. But I again, I just man, but you're in insurance. You probably carry a policy that.
No, I have to pay for that out of the pocket every time.
Oh, really? Okay, well, then I got nothing for you.
I know.
Then I got nothing for you. And you've got those special Tesla rims. I mean, you can't go to Tire World and get those things buffed out. I mean, it takes a little bit to fix those.
Oh gosh.
But you're just having like a week.
I
I
am.
mean, like you got
Mhm.
protested, you curbed your stuff.
I cussed on the
You
air.
you got at WAME a fine here, or and it, all its affiliates a
How
fine.
much is a fine?
Oh, well, they're about to find out.
I didn't say the whole word.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's a one syllable word.
I mean, it is an adjective. It can be a
Yes,
verb,
it
sometimes
can
a
be.
noun and a preposition. But
It can be, but
I
so
think I cut myself
well, stop
off.
curbing. Here's what I tell you. I
Okay.
just got a text from my lovely wife,
Mhm.
and I guarantee you that it is in solidarity with you on curbing your tires.
Okay.
She does it all the time as well, and I'm sure that she is there to stand with her sister in curbing,
Thank you.
with the driving thing. I'm sure that's what my text says.
I just hate that I do it, but it is going to be done. I'm just over it. I guess I got to get rid of the Tesla and go back to like a truck, like those protesters thought that I was driving.
Well, but then you're no longer covert.
Yeah,
Like you're no longer covert for the
yes,
protesters
I
and the people that
guess.
follow you around.
I guess. But also when I was going around Statesville today, actually the Iredell County Fair is opening tonight.
Yes, it is.
And it is always the symbolic start of the campaign season. And we do have city elections coming up. And the sign war in Statesville is heating up. The psychological warfare is in full effect.
Signs in the right of way.
Signs in yards so far. And I just you see one and you see another, and you see another, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so miserable.
The sign wars haven't started in Mooresville yet.
Had they not?
They have not. I have
Hmm.
not seen any signs out yet. Now, generally, I will say, as a general rule, in Mooresville, they generally pick up after Labor Day. Most people get past Labor Day, which of
Yeah.
course is Monday. That's when things get really hot and heavy. But
Yeah.
I'm driving through Statesville. I've seen a number of signs
Mhm.
out, and there's a lot of people running in Statesville. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of people on the ballot this time around. So the sign wars are going to get very interesting.
Across the state, right? With it's all of these, a lot of folks who are having city elections coming up in November, you kind of feel like, what in the world? We just had elections. Why do we have another elections? Remember, this is just your city government.
Mhm.
The most important, I arguably, that you can vote for because they're the one that have most impact on your life.
Yeah, and obviously school's back in.
Yeah.
So traffic, that summer respite we had from traffic in the mornings and in the afternoons gone now because all the schools are back in.
I too understand the reason why you want to protect your little baby from getting on that yellow school bus and sit in traffic and cause the rest of us who aren't taking kids to school all kinds of problem, and then yell at me on Facebook because you had to sit in traffic getting your kid to school when there's a beautiful yellow bus that drives by your house every day,
And the wheels on that bus go round and round.
round and round.
Yes, round and round.
You know what we used to play? Maybe this is why. You know what we used to sing on our school bus?
What?
99 bottles of beer on the
Of
wall.
course,
99 bottles of
you did.
beer.
Of course you
In
did.
elementary school,
Well, yeah.
as our bus driver, who was all of 18 years old, smoked stoves in the front.
Well, to be fair, drinking and driving actually really wasn't illegal while we were in elementary school. Wasn't it like the early 80s that it finally became illegal to drink and drive?
I don't know. Some may argue a little too late.
Yeah, the little lot too late, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I rode the school bus to school. I rode the school bus home. The bus. And it was it's formative on the bus.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. A lot of education happens on the school bus. But
Mhm.
I do agree. And this is one of the things that always gets me about everybody who drops their kids off at school and all that. And I realize, some
Yeah.
people need to. I'm not begrudging that, but complaining about sitting in traffic at school, it's like you talked before. There is an easy remedy for
Yeah.
that. easy remedy where you never have to sit in traffic
Yeah.
at school again, and it's called the bus.
Yeah.
And I realize some people have to drive. I have no qualms with that. They leave very early for work. It's before the bus maybe gets there. They
Yeah.
got to take. I get it. But the majority, I think, could put their kids on the bus. And I think it's much easier, much more calming traffic around schools,
Yeah.
which mostly people complain about.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you stuck your kid on the bus,
Yeah. So I say put your kid on the bus, let them have some formidable fun like we did and learned, all kinds of fun
make
stuff.
school buses great again.
Yes, exactly. Make school buses great again and reduce traffic at the same time. I mean, it's a great thing. Charlotte Mecklenburg school system, we always beat up on them a little bit, but I will say something cool that they have put out in regards to their school buses.
What's that?
They have an app that tracks your bus.
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that. So they absolutely in real time, you can see where the buses is. And so, so little Johnny or Jill doesn't have to
Where
sit
the
out
buses is.
where the buses is be at, where the bus is at,
Where the buses is.
where the buses is.
I think plural. Or I think are.
Are. Oh,
are.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. People really love when you correct their grammar.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You especially.
Uh-huh.
Well, to be fair, I let a lot go by. All right. I let a lot go by. It's not frequent, but we're on a roll here at the moment
Well,
with your
I know-
vocabulary.
Oh God. Hopefully, we will have more school systems who will adopt this app to in real time see where the buses are, so that we can encourage more bus ridership.
Yeah.
So that we can reduce time on the road and get kids to school safely and do it in a uniform manner. So,
Absolutely. Well, and to be fair, I'm amazed that just now something like that was, put into place. I mean, the capability has got to have been there for a while,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
And so I'm just amazed something like that just now got put into place. I mean, good Lord. I mean, Apple Maps for years and years and years have known exactly where I am and where the accidents are and everything like that.
But it always is with kids with security issue, and you always have custody disputes and parents and
Then
protective
that's fair. There is
orders
a little bit more nuance there
and-
when you're talking about kids.
Yeah, some of that stuff kind of works in. And a nuance, I know a lot of folks' airwaves are filled with the devastating news that just came out about a shooting.
Oh,
and,
yeah, it was awful.
it's just another example of really mentally ill people who are taking drastic measures to make other people hurt so that their pain may not be so bad. I guess that's we were kind of talking about it before.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's it is interesting that the last several shooters between schools and churches have all been trans, non-binary, what have you. Many left a manifesto behind, and you can tell there's a deep mental illness. And again, it's a horrific action that was taken. You feel anger, you feel sorrow, and everything like that. I genuinely feel sorry for and again, this may not make me popular. I feel sorry for the shooters because they're already suffering with a mental illness, with who they are and what their gender is, and believing that they're something that they're not. They're being encouraged by a lot of people to indulge that delusion and that illness, and it just makes it worse. And clearly they're not finding, clearly they're suffering through so many things. But I think one of the things that frustrated me the most about this was the several Democratic politicians who took the time to, when talking about this, to essentially mock prayer and mock and things like, I mean, like, I think Gavin Newsom put on, who has just been an absolute, just total tool bag. He's a genuinely awful person.
You think so?
Absolutely. The things he says and the things he does and the hyperbole he uses, no person who is a decent person will do that. There's always a line they don't cross, right? And we see it in politics. It's like how much can you ratchet up the rhetoric to the point where you get noticed, to the point where you get clicks, to the point where maybe you generate money from the kook bags on your far left or your far right that love that kind of crap. But I mean, he basically tweeted out, they were literally praying when this happened, because somebody was talking about thoughts and prayers to the families and praying for them and things like that. And it's like, look, in the middle of a tragedy, mocking people's faith, mocking people's prayer life and everything like that. What do you feel like you accomplished by that, other than making yourselves does it make you feel good to say that? Do you step back and say, ooh, got him with that one? Hey, everybody, look how I owned them with mocking prayer, because this happened when kids were praying. And I think it shows a fundamental misunderstanding about prayer. One, prayer does not, prayer and faith do not preclude bad things from happening to you. And these, and again, it wasn't these kids' fault. They were praying and everything like that. They were, shot by and injured by a mentally ill person. But you can always tell you always want people to come together during a
Right.
tragedy, and it seems like it doesn't happen anymore. It seems like that, especially in situations like this, Democrats want to take every opportunity, whether it's the mayor of Minneapolis or Gavin Newsom or Jasmine Crockett or AOC, whoever, to be as awful and as vile about the situation as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
And all of it for some craven desire for clicks and for publicity.
Yeah, and they immediately pull up the gun issue and talk, but I think it was squelched pretty quickly on this one. I mean, these folks, folks who identify as transgender, I think have a 50% suicide rate.
Yes.
That is mental illness
Yes.
within itself right there. I mean, that is proof in the pudding about this. And so, a lot of times folks who are committing these heinous crimes are suffering from mental illness. And it's okay to say that that is mental illness. It's so weird to me how we're supposed to be able to be free and talk about our mental well-being in one regard, but you can't label something that really is a mental health issue as it is. And then these continued school shootings by folks who are in those situations are just devastating.
Yeah, it really is awful. And I know it hits home when school just starts back and everything like that. Fortunately, we are very fortunate that, our Statesville PD, Troutman PD, Sheriff's Office, Mooresville PD, I've always worked great with our local school districts for, student resource officers to be there to help protect our kids. So we're very lucky in our district to be able to have a police force that does that. But it breaks your heart to see, all those things going on, especially, when you have the school age. I've got one more in school and everything like that. But, a lot of parents, kids just starting out, and things like that. So it really is heartbreaking to see it. It's even more heartbreaking, that there are families suffering through this right now. And then it's just depressing to see the narrative that gets pushed out on this from politicians and things like that on talk radio. But, we're in an election. It seems like we're always in an election season, and they're trying to look for anything they possibly can.
Well, they're looking for anything they possibly can because I think President Trump has basically broken the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he has shattered their very fragile fabric that has bound them together through the auspice of oppression for the past 40 years, right? And at some point there was, right? I'm not discounting any of that in our history, but you have got folks in different communities who are looking at things like crime in DC and going, wait a minute. So Democrats are sitting here fussing about no murders in the last 7 days, carjackings going down 83%. They can actually walk outside in comfort and enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having, all because a law and order president came and took over. And that's bad.
Yeah.
So you're going to praise folks who, you're going to blame the victim in a shooting, and you're going to blame the Republicans for cleaning up your city.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't resonate. That just doesn't make sense to normal, average people. So they're trying to make all these political points, and their political points are absolutely just landing on deaf ears.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'll give the mayor of DC credit.
Yes.
Marion Bowser, I believe is her name, Democrat, obviously. She actually came out and she was in a press conference, and she actually noted the how appreciative she was of the assistance that they had been given in the partnership with their police and things like that, and that crime was down. That could not have been easy for her. She is part of a party apparatus that the last thing they want is for a Democrat, especially the Democrat of that city, to come out and to praise it and compliment it and say that it's working. So I'm sure she's probably taking a lot of heat for that, for coming out and doing that, because it's breaking the cardinal rule that all things all things orange man bad on all things, and breaking that. I'm sure she's probably going to be dealing with a lot of backlash with that. And so, but it strikes me because you see on the rate, you see Gavin Newsom, you see the JD Pritzker from Illinois, you see these governors in these larger states. I saw this moronic tweet from one of the governors or from JD Pritzker, talking about the fact that like crime in these the worst crime rate in cities in Republican states had Republican or these cities had Republican governors or something like that.
Okay.
But they're democratically run cities
Mhm.
inside of Republican-led states.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, the twisted amount of logic you're having to
Right.
contort yourself
Right.
into here is like there is something very consistent. The top cities, and I think it's like 1 through 15
Right.
of the top crime in this country are democratically run cities. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter they're in Republican states, they're in democratically run cities.
Yeah.
And so, and that's where, the states don't execute police force, right? We've got a highway patrol,
Yeah.
and you've got
National Guard.
and National Guard, and that's it. They don't patrol the streets. And
Yeah.
those are functions of cities and counties.
Well, we have a great example of that right here in Charlotte. Did you hear about the young woman who was killed on the Charlotte area
did.
transit system? Was she Ukrainian or a recent
I
immigrant?
think, recent immigrant.
Yeah, or had been here for a while.
Yeah.
Beautiful young woman who was absolutely killed by this man he comes up and just like stabs her
Stabbed
out
her.
of the blue. This fella's name is not going to be said on this radio show because I don't like giving those type of people any kind of credit or recognition, but his mugshots have been released on how many times the Charlotte Mecklenburg PD or how many times this man has been arrested. Do you want to know how many times he has been arrested?
How many?
14 arrests.
14 arrests.
Arrests. So we're talking about democratically run
And they
cities
probably
and
weren't for
crimes.
speeding tickets.
No, gosh, no. And in fact, there's a great article, or if you can look on Twitter, some folks have been tweeting about it. I mean, it shows exactly what it is. And these are pretty heinous crimes that he has been arrested for 14 times. How is this dude not in jail?
Well, I think.
I mean, he is now, but someone had to lose their life. And think about how much property damage and anguish and everything else he's caused over the other 14 or 13 arrests that he's had total. I mean,
well, and I think it's, and in these major cities, district attorneys largely are Democrats, very well funded by far left groups. They push things like cashless bail. They push things like, you can't, as long as you steal under $1,000, you don't have to go to jail,
Yeah.
and the police won't arrest you. This is the kind of lunacy that they push, and they
Right.
don't prosecute these criminals. They are constantly in and out of jail. They refuse to prosecute them. They are a danger to every citizen.
Yeah.
And you see it you see it in the articles about the New York City subway now, and you're seeing it on Charlotte Transit. It's like these repeat offenders who are arrested for violent crimes.
Yeah.
Are still let out on the streets, and they continue to do crimes, and eventually someone gets killed.
Yeah.
And that is a purview of the left. I'm sorry, it just simply is soft on crime, soft on criminals, releasing violent criminals. That is the exclusive purview of the left.
Right.
And I have no idea what it is in their brain that lets them process that way or think that is okay. I'm sure they identify more with the perpetrator than with the victim in most all things when it comes to things like this. And I think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And, I feel like that, at some point in time, and I think you're seeing a little bit of it now, people are just standing up and saying enough.
Right.
That's why you're seeing people in Washington, D.C., a Democratic stronghold. They do not elect Republicans in Washington, D.C., but you see Democrats there out in, the citizens there, as well as the elected officials there saying, you know what? Thank goodness, finally,
Right.
someone who happens to be a Republican is getting tough on this crime and doing what we have been unwilling or incapable of doing.
That's right. That is right.
You're listening to We're Just Saying on a lot of different stations. I got to get better at that, but we'll be right back.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
We all want more of a North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station.
We all play a role in keeping our community safe.
Every day, we move in and out of each other's busy lives.
It's easy to take for granted all the little moments that make up our everyday.
Some are good, others not so much.
But that's life.
It's when something doesn't seem quite right
that it's time to pay attention.
Because only you know what's not supposed to be in your everyday.
So protect your everyday.
If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
Bravo, Brenda. You've always been a saver. Price matching your price matches. The self-proclaimed queen of extreme couponing. But this time, you've truly outdone yourself. By saving for this electric vehicle, you're locking in up to $1,000 a year in fuel and maintenance savings, which will leave you saying, cha-ching, every time you unplug. Good for your wallet, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the ANC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now is the moment we've been waiting for. With new treatments emerging in the fight against Alzheimer's and all other dementia, now is the time for hope. Now is the time for action. So get out, get moving, and join the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's on Saturday, September 27th at Liberty Park in Mooresville. Join the movement at alz.org/walk.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying with Senator Ralphie and David. If you'd like to be part of the show, 704-873-9929.
Why would you call me Ralphie?
Oh my God. Your lack of movie knowledge frustrates the ever-loving fool out of me.
From the Christmas Story?
Yeah, changing the tire. Oh, fudge. But I didn't say fudge. I said the granddaddy of them all.
All right, I get that. Now I earned that title.
Senator Ralphie. Wow. It's like this is going in the We're Just Saying Hall of Fame right here, alongside the North Carolina Wrestling Hall of Fame, which needs to be funded.
Okay.
So moving past
I know how
your,
to get funded.
How's that?
I know where you need to send your letters and protest and encouragement to.
Where's that?
State Treasurer Brad Briner.
State Treasurer Brad Briner, who actually doing a great job.
Oh my gosh, it is such a relief to have someone who is business minded, professionally astute, running the state's money.
Yes.
It's just so nice for him. He has the hard conversations. He's been talking about things that have been put in his plate because of past performance of the market and things that have not necessarily been handled to the best outcome. And he's cleaning all that up and he's going further with it than anybody's gone before. And then guess what else he did?
What?
Well, you know, because you.
Yes,
Oh no, you probably don't.
I did the show
know.
prep. Yes, I read the show prep.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay,
I read
then
the
you
show
tell
prep.
me. What did you do?
But I'm letting you.
No, you tell me.
Oh,
What
I'm
did you
being
do?
quizzed now. If I really read the show, but I want to see if you remember what you wrote. Yes, I remember. He found, and this can only happen in a government situation. It only happens in government. Our good state treasurer happened to find a random $170 million sitting with an investment firm that no one knew was there until the investment firm reached out and basically said, "Hey, just FYI, we got this money."
Well, I would argue that when investment firms, I know that they have to produce annual statements based on their reports and disclosures, and especially to do everything with the FEC. And so
SEC and FEC.
Yeah, please forgive me. FCC, forgive me. And then so I argue that they probably were disclosing this all along for the past 20 years, that this fund had money in it and had been accruing interest and also investment gains. And they were getting a yearly or annual statement from that firm. I mean, they have to. And I guess maybe someone just filed 13 that statement or something, or
just made it into a filing cabinet somewhere and never brought it out. But
$170 million.
That's just, I mean, and look, I support private investment. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But the fact that like people just didn't know it was there,
Yeah.
right? Or weren't following up with it. It's just, it can only happen at government.
Well,
I mean, you think it
I
only happens at
know.
federal, but it can only happen in a state level federal bureaucracy.
So forgive me because I'm not being very kind here, but you know, we at the General Assembly have been petitioned over and over and over again about state employees' health care and about the cost and rising cost. And we have invested and given about $200 million. I mean, every year we're chunking change towards that premiums to make sure that we can have good health care for all state employees. And I think sometimes it is like $200 million. I'm thinking dude, this has been sitting around for a while. This should have been put into either the state retirement plan or the unfunded liabilities on the state employees health plan. That would have been a really good catch.
Mhm.
Well, thank God for Brad Briner.
Yes, absolutely. Thank God for Brad Briner. I'm so glad that he found it. And hopefully that, he'll be able to allocate that money, I'm sure, to a much better. I mean, again, no problem with investment income,
Yeah.
but at the same time, when you've got the funding shortfalls that we have in so
Yeah.
many different areas, we got state employees we need to pay, who, fortunately, the General Assembly over the last several years has been providing pay increases,
Correct.
long overdue, because they were so long neglected when Democrats controlled the North Carolina legislature. And it's really great but we got a lot of funding mandates coming in. Nothing's getting cheaper, and so
Right.
finding something like that, good for him.
I
And it's nice
know.
to know that somebody's in there auditing the books, because I think there's probably a tendency sometimes when when a new regime comes in for an agency or something like that, maybe not to want to look under the covers and dig in, for fear of what may be found, and just continue to look forward. But Brad Briner, along with Dave Bullock, our auditor,
Yeah.
have been doing a fantastic job looking under the hood to see, basically taking a look at everything across the board to find where funding may just have been forgotten about, to
Right.
find where funding can be better utilized, to find where it's not being spent, and recouping it. So they're all doing a fantastic job with that. And I mean, it's not an easy job, especially
Right.
when you consider how archaic some of the accounting mechanisms and
Yes.
systems are at the state level, which is a
Yes.
whole separate conversation.
Hey, you should be happy. When the new secretary for the Department of Revenue came by to say hello, as they always do, because the Senate confirms the appointments. One of his major initiatives is to update the Department of Revenue's computer systems.
Which would be fantastic.
I was like, for those from city governments, they still have to do their payroll on a green screen, or they have to update. There's something on the green screen maybe it's not payroll, but anyways.
It's actually it's almost like it's basically a file extract that has to be sent to the state, that is in a file that really hasn't been used since the 90s.
That's right.
And so like to the point where this file type, because I've dug into this before
Yeah.
with some of the stuff I've done outside of outside of radio,
Yeah.
which is of course my primary gig.
Yes.
But in my secondary job, I've dug into this, and it's a file type that's so archaic no one supports it anymore. And
Yeah.
even Microsoft, who invented it, doesn't support it anymore. And that's how archaic we're talking about.
Yeah.
And some of these systems, and it's a manual process that has to be loaded, reconciled manually, opens itself up to a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
And then uploaded up at the state level.
Yeah, so Senator Todd Johnson he has cigar shops and insurance. He's a juggernaut of business and small business, but also he has some retail stores in South Carolina, and he does all of his excise tax. And so he says, "Here, I just did my paid my excise tax for South Carolina online. Here, I'm paying my excise tax to North Carolina," and he's filling out the forms and he's doing all this stuff, and it's just like, oh my gosh, come on! It's like the DMV and the DOR are on the race to the bottom of who is so antiquated.
It really, and it's the
The two
terrible.
things that people deal with the most with the state of North Carolina, DMV and taxes, and they're getting failed upon all over and over again.
Oh yeah, because it's completely archaic.
Yeah.
And then, but you talk about, we were talking about this 170 million, but
Yeah.
then also I know that you all recently found you're looking at some Medicaid cuts
Yeah.
that are coming in. They're going to have to be supplemented.
It's going back and forth, and of course, it's a hot topic. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, who also got to meet, and actually really impressive man, he had mentioned that if they do not have an infusion of cash because of things are going on the federal level, and what we did provide funding for Medicare in this last mini budget that we had. So we did make sure that there was money in the coffers to pay for medical care for those who need it the most. But he's still saying it's not enough. And by October 1, if they don't have some sort of infusion of cash, then they're going to have to cut the providers' reimbursement rates. In other words, doctors and all that, by 3%. And if you already are, or say Medicare, Medicaid, forgive me, Medicaid. Obviously, today is not my day for grammar.
It's okay.
Medicare and Medicaid.
Exactly.
And my Ralphie moment.
Yes.
So forgive me. Okay. I thought I was going to bring it today, but it's just not happening. So anyway, so he's saying that that Medicaid providers, paid providers, will have to take a 3% reimbursement reduction if there is an infusion of cash. And of course, that's always going to be a Democratic talking point. There's always the back and forth. And it's honestly, it is very confusing how Medicaid and DHHS works with all of their funding. So fingers crossed, the Chicken Little moment hopefully won't happen, and sometime in September we can get something done to make sure that we can continue to honor those promises that were made.
Now, did he give any indication of is the shortfall just something standard, or is it something that sort of came out of the big beautiful bill, so to speak? Because I know that was one of the chief pain points for Senator Tillis
Mhm.
about the big beautiful bill were the Medicaid cuts and the reimbursements, especially in rural providers and things like that. I know he was quite vocal on that. Are we seeing the kind of a natural offshoot of that?
Well, so you're going to hear from a few folks different sides of that, but one thing that says that you need to adjust the Medicaid budget for a couple reasons. One is rising costs. Two is the changes of the number of people who are now enrolled. So now we had expanded Medicaid, so we have a lot more people who are on the rolls than we did before, and likely for the program's cost for the upcoming year, it could be some of the stuff with the big beautiful bill, but that is over my pay grade. So we do need to get somebody on the show to drill down, because who doesn't love talking about medical money and budgets?
I know Medicaid.
And
It's right,
Medicaid.
it definitely draws the listeners in.
Yeah, I
know we
know.
see a rating spike every time that we get into Medicaid and things like that. But no, I think, and we've talked about it before, overall, Medicaid and Medicare in this country, it just, and healthcare costs in general, it seems to be the problem that just has no good solution to it, which is, a shame. And I was actually talking with one of my friends about this a couple of weeks ago about, when I first got out of college and got my first job, that wasn't paying a lot, but just how unbelievable my benefits were.
Yeah.
And the company paid benefits, and and what was covered and how cheap they were. And it's like, because when I came out, it was like you get a job, partly to get benefits.
Yeah,
That's how you afford benefits,
That's
is getting a
right.
job.
Right.
And and how much your employer's paid and stuff like that. And that obviously has progressively gotten, as a percentage, less and less and less. Companies are obviously paying more in dollars, due
Right.
to inflated costs, but
Right.
less as a percentage of many employers, because a lot of them simply can't afford it.
Yeah.
And because the costs are so high, and it seems like there are no good solutions. And any of the, and I think we've talked about it before, that in order to fix Medicaid, in order to fix Medicare, in order to fix healthcare, there would have to be some pain involved somewhere. And the ability to figure out how you distribute that pain and what it takes to get it done is very, very politically difficult.
Absolutely. And something else politically difficult, well, not politically difficult for President Trump. He fired the Center for Disease Control secretary.
Yeah, like a month in or a week in or something.
Something because she refused to support the prescription of vitamins or something to help. There was something weird, like standard that that her and Robert Kennedy, were disagreeing on, and so he's like, okay, you're out.
Well, I mean, it's his prerogative.
I know.
But basically, I think her response was, I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so we have the classic impasse.
Yeah.
Well, and he fired one of the Fed governors as well for mortgage fraud.
Yeah.
They
Good.
have, they have the documents and everything like that.
Break down something for me. So I have a young daughter who is saving money so she can buy a home. And so she's very interested in the interest rates. And so I'm trying to explain to her this whole, the thing between the two, between the president and the board and everything, and this firing stuff. And so it's just a great conversation topic. But what really is behind the feds not reducing the rates, and in fact making them, the thought was, I think they had a meeting this past week, it was either Monday or Tuesday, and that they were going to not do it, in fact may look at even increasing. Is that really financially strong, or is it just political baloney?
So I think largely, well, obviously, again, it depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
The Fed and Jerome Powell will say that, well, we're just not comfortable where inflation is and jobs day, and there's all these different markers and things like that they want to cite. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think there's a large portion of people that believe that it is largely political. Jerome Powell is not a Donald Trump fan. Donald Trump clearly not a Jerome Powell fan.
Sure.
And that it is largely political based, because here's the deal: we are going into obviously a midterm election season, and cutting interest rates, as a whole spurs economic growth. Their direct, relates to the ability to borrow money on mortgages, even though it's not directly tied to the Fed rate. It is tied to the Fed rate.
Yeah.
Because everything is sort of it's a cascading effect when you lower those things, because of various economic indicators and how the economy feeds.
Right.
But largely, me included, think it's political. I think Jerome Powell, I think he's a Democrat. I think he doesn't like Trump. I think that he wants to delay as long as humanly possible to blunt any positive economic effect
Right.
that there
Before the
might be before the
midterms.
midterms, so that Democrats can run on an economy that's not growing or stagnant or
Yeah.
what have you. But we are starting to see, and this is kind of the world that I spend a lot of time in, from a house, the housing market is softening. Prices are now coming down.
Right.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that they overinflation and everything like that. Now, it's not great for people who took out a bunch of money against the value of
Right.
their house, but we're not seeing exponential drop or anything like that. But we're seeing some drops in the housing market. But the problem but the larger part is mortgage rates are still sitting above 6%.
Yeah.
And that just you cannot spur growth. You have to get below 6% on those mortgage rates. Most mortgage brokers will tell you need to get below 6% in
Right.
order to actually spur people on to and the
Refi
housing
or
market
to
to go
buy.
or to buy.
Yeah.
And it also, commercial lending rates are really ridiculous right now. So it's very difficult. And I'm sure you don't mind this, but from in the residential world, it's very difficult to get apartments financed right now. And so,
I do not mind that.
I know you don't mind that, but that's
do
what
not mind that.
apartments are a key thing that increase your housing stock. Which
I know.
the greater the supply, and the demand supply.
I had spoken to someone at the Iredell Economic Development Corporation meeting this week. He had just came back from Charlotte, listening to the feds and the conversation around this. And one of the takeaways was that there is going to be a money supply for multifamily housing. And I went, no.
Well, and here's what I will tell you: is the number of
No.
people wanting to rent is increasing, primarily because
Of interest rates.
And so because they can't, and you've got a lot of a lot of baby boomers, people who are rolling into retirement, who do not want the maintenance of a house, don't need the space of a house. They like the idea of everything being, and they are moving into cities, but they're very nice.
city.
They're very nice cities where, it's ridiculously expensive to get an apartment in the big city, but you can move to a lovely place in Iredell County, and you can get reasonable interest rates. And a lot of people don't want maintenance. It is a lifestyle choice.
Sure.
I understand the reasoning behind not liking them,
I know.
but they are a key factor in keeping housing costs low because they do provide supply.
You don't like multifamily.
I understand.
I just don't. I don't. Ugh. Hey, you know what else I don't really care for?
What's that?
Sunday voting.
So we're done talking about housing now.
I was getting bored.
We're done. I'm sorry. We're done talking about that.
It was
Moving
a
on.
conversation that was not going to end well because I still hold I do not want apartments and townhomes
Yes, I
being
completely
built.
understand.
And
But yes,
there's
Sunday
nothing wrong.
voting. Yes.
There's nothing wrong. We were going to get at odds. People were going to hear. People were going to hear
Well,
brother and sister fight on the radio.
Well, and the sooner we got into talking about things on Sunday, the better after your potty mouth. So get a little Jesus going in here for you.
Hey, I love Jesus, but I
that.
do curse a little.
I understand. We know, as our listeners found out just a few short minutes ago. But yes, Sunday voting, not a fan.
I blame all the Northerners moving in. They have socialized and normalized that word. And
there you go.
a politician, I have to blame someone else.
Well,
So
exactly. Personal responsibility in the political world is not something that you do. So
No, exactly.
I applaud you for deflecting blame.
Right. Because if
Absolutely.
you go to New York or New Jersey, they use that word like it's everything.
Oh, yeah,
And so
yeah.
I think it's obviously their fault.
It is obviously their fault. But anyway, getting back to Sunday voting.
So there's this long held tradition of, in the South especially, that things are closed on Sunday, like the ABC store. It's closed on Sunday. We used to not be able to buy alcohol on Sunday.
Blue laws,
right? Because you can only commit sins on Saturday, not on Sunday. But Sunday has been a protected day, and but not by all board of elections. And so folks in Democratic communities have long enjoyed, I think they call it souls to the polls.
Souls to the polls.
Souls to the polls. So it's a get out the vote effort that when people go to church, they leave church and they go directly to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that the state board of elections has switched from Democratic control for the last gazillion years to Republican controlled, there's a conversation about and it's actually, they just didn't bring it up, but I think it was Davidson County, maybe Union County. A few of them said that they wanted to close or give the county boards the option to close their polling locations on Sunday, because quite frankly, we have 17 days of early voting.
Yes.
17 days of early voting is too ridiculous. And the people who work at the Board of Elections, I mean, that is a slog for them.
Yes.
And having a day off is really kind of a thing that they probably need, because they're not taking the day off. They're probably just working on things that had happened the week prior that they could finally back up on. But when you're just doing that over and over again, the expenses, the volunteers, everything, just take a page book from Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Well,
It's
and
okay to shut down
it's
one
okay
day.
to be closed on Sunday. And I think also if you go to a number of polling places, especially around Iredell County, largely the folks working the polls are older, they're
Mhm.
retired.
Yeah.
And so 17 days straight is
Yeah.
a lot.
Right.
For many people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot for it. That would be a lot for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm not near as old as you.
You know
I
what-
can imagine what that would do to you.
But
But
wear me out, man. Hey, you know what happened to me last time that we had municipal elections?
What?
So I told the Board of Elections that I would volunteer because I had time, and I will volunteer for municipal elections. I'm not on the election. I know how it is. And I kind of wanted to understand the election process from soup to nuts, right? We always hear about it at our level, but I mean, just like ground level, how does the machines work? I got denied.
You got denied.
I got denied from volunteering.
Wow. And the reason was
I don't know.
They were just like, thanks, but no thanks.
I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of cool to get in there and I would obviously do my due diligence. I wouldn't be campaigning or anything else. I'd just be, Vickie, the average girl who's just trying to volunteer and do that kind of stuff to understand and to be helped, because they desperately needed people to work.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to. Well, I mean, I probably know the reason, because when you applied, the Board of Elections was democratically controlled. So I think it's probably not a jump.
Maybe I should go back and ask if I can help volunteer.
Maybe
for
go back
municipal
and ask now.
elections.
Yeah,
because I just want to see how it works from the inside out.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, electioneering at polling places is illegal. So unless they just are convinced you're going to break the law,
right?
Or inside,
I would never do that.
which you wouldn't. And so take all you can get.
Right.
I mean,
maybe I should wear a mustache and a hat.
Yeah,
Maybe then they can't
well,
see
no,
my,
because no, that's not going to get you in Iredell County either. Maybe a different wig or something like that.
A different one, like I'm wearing one now.
Oh, sorry. Well, man, different hair color. No, you're not wearing a wig. I will verify you're not wearing a wig. Gosh, I'm sorry, you're not wearing a wig. But
I probably
a
need
different
to.
colored hairstyle with a wig or something like that. You might be able to
Maybe
go
that's I can do
covert.
that. Maybe that's what I can do. But anyway, so now it has been upheld, I believe. Was it with the state Supreme Court that says that counties can actually choose if they want to be open on Sunday or not.
Yeah.
So I hate it for those faith communities that had that tradition, but you know what? Just change your plans. Do it on Saturday. Figure something out. Rally your voters to get to the polls. You have 17 days of early voting. Surely you can get them in at one certain time. So,
Yeah.
So definitely do that. You know what else kind of got in at one certain time?
What's that?
The first Hurricane Helene house has actually been put up.
Huzzah! Major milestone. What, 18 months later?
Dude, buy insurance. Please buy homeowners insurance, because if you are going to wait for the government to bail you out, you are going to be just like these poor victims waiting on government to get money, and they're going to do it. Not what you want. It's not going to be anything spectacular. I mean, just protect yourself and your family, because government stinks when it comes to rebuilding your home.
Yes, it does. The amount of paperwork, the amount of time, and there's a whole thing that some people may not be aware of. It's called state building standards, and it is an entire level of bureaucracy and regulation and statute and process and review that adds at least a year or more to any building project, and probably 30 to 35% more to cost.
To your point, you have a development background, and so you know what it costs to build certain things.
Yes.
Hopefully not apartments, but you know what it would build certain things.
Yes.
So we have a school, and every time school construction comes up, the same conversation is, what in the world are you spending $150 million on? I know what I can build for $150 million, and you're just building one school without any, frills or at all. And you're right. It's the state construction standards. It's the 1,000 stamps and tens of bureaucrats that every decision has to go through. And time is money, and government is time.
Yeah. And there is a mentality out there that has existed in government for a very long time. And it goes all the way down to the local level. And, from school boards to city councils to county commissions to state level government in many instances. This idea that the government should own its buildings.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
Which, if you look at the inventory,
yeah,
that our state government alone has of empty buildings
yeah,
that are serving nobody,
yes,
and everything like that, empty land
yeah,
that a lot of times don't even know they have.
Yeah.
It is absolutely ridiculous. It is a drain on resources. Granted they don't pay taxes on it, but at the same time, it's still just surplus that could be sold off, that could be developed upon, and things like that. And a lot of these buildings have outlived their usefulness. They could be rehabbed. There's a multitude of different ways these buildings could actually put into use, but they just sit there because there's no one paying attention to them.
Right.
Because it's easy, because we're not losing money on them, but you're not making money on them either. They are not, they have no value to anyone. They have value to a lot of people, but they're sitting on your books and you're not doing anything with them.
Right.
And so the idea is there are a number of developers and private entities that will build these things. They will lease them back. You operate them, you maintain them, and everything like that. And when the building outlives its usefulness, you can go on your merry way.
Bank of America does not own the Bank of America building.
No.
I mean, it's just like, come on, guys. Like, I don't understand that whole. You and I have been on the same. This is something we do agree on.
Yes.
We really is an abuse of cash to what the government does with building these buildings.
Yes. Well, and it's time value of money.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, for example, if the government wants to build a brand new, ops facility or something like that, when you include state building standards and everything like that, that can be a $200 million project, right? And you could, or $300 million project.
Right.
And a state entity comes to the General Assembly and says, hey, we need $300 million to build this. And if you get the legislature on board, they're like, okay, we'll put it in that thing called the SCIF.
Yeah.
And then, but just FYI, you're not going to get the money for 7 years.
Right.
7 years, the cost has gone up 20%.
That's right.
Just because of materials and labor and time.
That's right.
So basically your $300 million now is not really worth $300 million.
Right.
It has to be $340 million or $350 million. And then, okay, now you can start building. We'll add me another year and a half for your regulations, for your reviews and permitting and everything like that. By the time you finally get this built, what was a $300 million building that took you 8 years to build is now a $500 million building, and it is never going to be worth that to anyone ever again because you built it.
Right.
And so whereas
What
you
an
could
abuse of
have a
cash.
private entity come in, build it, lease it, and then when you're done with it, guess what? You can find another private entity that has
Totally
built something, go to them, and then it's on them to get rid of the surplus, repurpose it.
Totally agree. And especially for school construction. I know we got to get going, but especially for school construction, you can use lottery funds for your money to pay the lease.
Yes. And would you rather drop, $300 million of state funds into another state building that generates no revenue
That they
or anything
never
like
maintain?
that? Or would you like to be able to put that towards Hurricane Helene relief?
Right.
Would you like to be able to put that into Medicaid?
Right.
Would you like to be able
State
to put that into
employees'
roads?
raises.
State employees' raises. $300 million is not a small amount of money.
Right.
And those are the kind of numbers you're dealing with when you build some of these buildings.
Right. I agree. Well, you know what? We started out a little rough.
I think I didn't.
But we came back together.
I was rolling.
We brought it back together.
This is a team effort. Yes.
Team effort. Thank you so much, David, for being here.
Are you having any plans for your Labor Day?
Yeah, I'm going to work, man.
Work.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's right. The Iredell County Fair.
Yes.
So if you'd like to protest Senator Sawyer, she'll be out at the Iredell County Fair.
Or come and get a free t-shirt at the WAME radio booth.
Yes. Fried food, WAME t-shirt, and protest Senator Sawyer. I think that is a recipe for a fantastic Labor Day
Please
weekend.
come out and see us.
Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thanks for listening.
Say what you want.
Thank you for tuning in to We're Just Saying with Senator Vickie Sawyer and co-host David Coble. We appreciate your time and input as we discuss the issues shaping North Carolina. Stay informed.